Hey everybody, this is Stephen Ramsden from the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project. I'm the director and founder. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm going to process some solar images via this Google Hangout, and hopefully it'll help somebody. So I use Astro IIDC, which is no longer available, but stacking software is the same as any other stacking software. You go through the rigmarole of whatever settings it wants you to use, and you stack. I take 600 frames with a 5 megapixel camera. If you have a smaller camera, take more frames. And I like to stack about 5% of the frames for my finished image. You can go through all the alignments and everything else. One thing to remember about stacking is that it's best not to sharpen or try to post-process the image in your stacking software. In my opinion, it's best to let it do its stacking, let it spit out a final product, and then take that product into Photoshop and do your post-processing there. And I use Photoshop CS6. There's absolutely nothing to this hobby. I'm eating my lunch while we're gonna do this tutorial. It takes about 3 minutes to stack a world-class solar image, and anybody that tells you otherwise is going overboard. Yeah, you can spend all day on it if you want to, but the sun's beautiful. It's really easy to image. You can capture the data in 90 seconds. You can process it in 5 minutes, and diminishing return law comes into play after that. Of course, some guys can do it better than me, of course, but I do it pretty good. And here's how I do it. I'm going to start with the most boring part of the Hangout, which is the stacking. Let me screen share real quick. Hope you enjoy it. If you don't want to watch all the stacking, you can just skip through until you see something change on the screen, and then you'll when you see Photoshop open in the video, stop there and start listening again. For those that want to watch me stack a couple of images, just stay tuned. Here we go. All right. So I take my images on a iMac that I keep in the garage, and I just wheel it out to the driveway. And I record the images onto an external hard drive, which is what I've done in this case also. And these are the contents of the external hard drive now. It's got a whole bunch of videos. If I double click one of these videos, you'll see that it opens up and there's a white light image of the sun, unstacked, unprocessed. And you can play these videos, and this is what the raw data looked like when I collected it. So we'll close that. Show you something else, like I think this is a H alpha image here. And that's a close-up in hydrogen alpha. Let's try a full disk. There you go. There's a nice full disk hydrogen alpha view. This is what the raw data looks like. This is captured with a Lunt Solar Systems 100 millimeter H alpha scope with an external additional 100 millimeter Etalon with a B12 or B1800 blocking filter. We call this an externally double stacked Lunt scope. And of course, the camera used is a point gray Grasshopper 5 megapixel, and it captures 5 megapixel frames at about 15 frames per second. And this is what the captured data looks like on the raw MOV file used to stack. Most of you will probably be saving AVI files, and that's just a PC version of a movie. So here you go. And I believe I took another couple of them that were a little bit better exposed. Oh, there's some calcium K prominences. Anyway, you get the idea. So what I'm going to do now is take this raw data, like here's 1/4 of the sun's disk in white light raw data. I took 4-pane mosaic of the sun, and I'm going to stack all of those now and then create a mosaic, hopefully, and we'll see how it works. First thing you do is open up Astro IIDC or your stacking software, whatever you want to use. Linkios is good. As far as a Mac goes, that's really about it. PC, there's a million different versions of stacking software. They all work great. Everybody has their opinion too, so just choose one and learn how to use it, and you'll probably be just as good as anybody else. So let's take these first 6 movies. Enter them into the stacking software. Tell it where you want to save the results. Oops. Start it again. Processing. Stack align movies. First 6 movies. Tell it, let's make a new folder. Wait a minute, I'll make a new folder here. Today's date is 2015, February 7th. Driveway Solar on Google+. I like to keep everything in folders to keep it organized because that's just how I roll. Okay. So we'll tell it to put the results there. Now it's asking me what kind of stuff I want to do. I use the same settings I always use, and this confidence interval doesn't matter. This is how many frames you want it to stack out of the total frames. But you're going to do this manually anyway, so that doesn't matter in this program. Display a histogram and ask for the confidence interval for each movie is what we're going to do. Use monochrome to stack, of course, because it's a monochrome image. Most of these settings are irrelevant, but I'll go through them for other Astro IDC users. Analyze the entire image, use small spacing, use the lunar solar gross alignment method, use manually selected pixel areas for fine alignment. This is important. Manually selected pixel areas for fine alignment. Just like an alignment point you're going to choose on the image in Registax. Use a 64 by 64 pixel area for comparison. Allow up to 7 variants per pixel when matching pixel areas. Create a blended map image for manually selected pixel areas. I do that because every one of these pixel areas you choose for fine alignment, it's going to create a separate image. And at the end, it will blend all those images together. Sometimes it works pretty good, sometimes it doesn't. And there's a lot more complicated ways to do this. Like some people will use 300 or 400 different fine alignment points and blend the image together in Photoshop. But since that takes all day and I don't have time for that, I'm going to show you how to do it real quickly. Okay, don't blend it in a stack if the number of frames drops below 95% of selected is what I would choose. That way, if you get a crappy stack, it won't try to put it into the blended image. If you don't want to create individual stacks, you can and just get the blended image, but you may or may not get a decent blended image. Scale frames by 1x. Gaussian blur the frames used for sharpness. Sharpen the frames used for pixel alignment, yes. Histogram expand brightness of all frames, yes. Auto clip out unstacked image areas, yes. I like that. You don't have to. And none of these other things are checked. So the things that are checked on mine are display sharpness histogram for each and ask for CI confidence interval for each movie. Create blended map image. Gaussian blur, sharpen the frames, and histogram expand and auto clip out. Everything else should be unchecked if you want to do it the way I do it. We're going to say OK. And the first thing it's going to do is look through all the frames. Now this is a 2008 Mac Pro desktop. And there's 600 frames in this movie. It takes about 2 minutes for it to look through and get you something to go with. So I'm going to let it do that. And if you want to skip ahead to the next part, you can. But I'm going to let it go ahead and stack these 6 frames while I finish my lunch. And I'm looking on Facebook. If anybody has a question or comment or whatever, send me a Facebook message via the PM system. And of course, I'm Stephen W. Ramsden on Facebook, STEPHEN WRAMSDEN. I'm going to mute me now, and I'll come back on when it's done. Okay, so in this one, just one moment. Let me get this Mac Pro going right. One moment. All right. Anyway, this screen is asking you how many frames out of the total that we stacked do you want to use in your final stack? So it's basically it's analyzed all the frames in the entire movie, and it's told me that okay, your best frame is over here. As you scroll to the left, you get worse and worse frames, and the height tells you how many frames fell into that category. So if I slide this to the right, you see it knocks it up to higher percentage. 5 frames fell into the perfectly good category. Well, 5's not really enough to stack, so let's move it to the left until the slider gets up to about 30 frames, which is how I do it. Everybody's got their own technique. Some guys go to the peak right there. They stack all of them until the quality starts going down, or the number of frames starts going down. I like to stack 30 images, so I slide it until I get somewhere close to 30, and then I choose OK. Now, let me, oops, let me pull up this so I can share the screen with you. This is a critical portion. Sorry, this isn't going as smoothly as I wanted to, but there, that's better. Okay, so this is a critical portion of it. I told it to stack 30 frames. It stacked those 30 frames and gave me this result as a choice screen of what I want to align it to. So in Astro IDC, I'm going to pick some high contrast features, but every one of these that you pick, it's going to create a separate image and then blend them all together at the end. So you can choose one of the separate images if you like it best, or you can choose the blended image if it comes out okay. I notice this awesome, beautiful granulation. This is a histogram stretch in Astro IDC. So look, we got about 10 pixel alignment points. I like them. I'm going to say accept selections. And now it is going to each one of those alignment points, and it is creating a separate image of the entire thing stacked with those alignment points as a reference. So it's making a separate image for each alignment point, and then at the end it's going to combine all of the images it created together and attempt to blend it automatically in the Astro IDC software. And like I say, sometimes it works really good. To be honest, most of the time it doesn't work very good. So I end up picking one of the single images or one of the single pixel area images. But we'll watch it and see what happens. And you'll see me do this again for 5 more files. So I'm going to mute myself now and I'll just go through the motions. Yeah, I know it's kind of boring, isn't it? Well, we're still stacking images in Astro IIDC. Right now I'm on movie 4 of 6. Shouldn't be more than about 4 more minutes. We'll be done. In the meantime, I'm chatting with Rob Black on Facebook on my other computer. So if you have any questions or you have anything you want to ask me, send it to me via my Facebook. I'm Stephen Ramsden at Facebook, of course. Stephen W. Ramsden, StephenWramsden. I'm the only one on Facebook, if you can believe that. This is a selection screen where you tell Astro IIDC what features you want to align. And then I choose those, accept the selections, and it'll make me a separate picture for each alignment point, and then it'll try to blend them all together. We're trying to deal with getting Pranvera's mount to her in Kosovo on the other computer here. So let's see. Let's see. 6:30 in Australia right now. Rob Black's up and at 'em. Already working on fixing something. Okay, so as you can see, it's showing the progress. It's stacking frame 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 8th alignment area we chose. So it won't be much longer now. How about this photo of all my equipment as a cool time waster? This is the outdoor astrophysics AP 1200 mount. This is the scopes that I take these images through. These are the scopes that I take these images through. The white light was taken through this Skywatcher Esprit 150. The H alphas will be done through the H alpha LUNT double 100 scope, of course. And this is my DSLR for nighttime. And I also put a LUNT calcium K wedge into the Skywatcher Esprit when I want to do calcium. This is the outreach van that I drive around to the schools and teach kids about the sun. And this is my JMI wheelie bar. Whenever I'm at home and I have a day off, which is very rare, I'll just wheel this whole thing out into the driveway, turn it on, and be ready to go in about 5 minutes. Makes it much easier than trying to set up the whole thing. It takes about an hour to set it up at a school, hour and a half maybe, to set up 7 of these telescopes. That one in my garage I could just wheel out and start using. Let's see if I have a better photo. Yeah, that's the close-up of the same thing. Note the solar finder over the finder scope, the solar filter over the finder scope. And Marge and Roland at Astrophysics and George and all the guys at Astrophysics have been exceptionally good supporters of the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project, and I'm very grateful to them. All right, so here we're on movie 5 of 6, and it's asking me, how many frames, what's your confidence level? Well, I want to move the slider back and forth until I get about 30 frames out of 600. So we'll go with that. And then it's going to say, okay, what points do you want to align it to? Well, there's a high contrast point. There's some pretty cool, that's AR 2280, I believe. Some pretty cool alignment points. So those are the ones I've chosen. And I'll say, that's the ones I like. And they'll say, okay, well, that's 7 alignment areas. So we're going to stack these frames, 32 frames in each one of those 7 alignment areas and make an individual photo. And then we're going to create you a blended photo when we get done. So that's what it's doing. One more and then we'll get to the meat of it. The thing about processing solar images is everybody's got their own way to do it, and the more complicated it gets, usually, well, the least I like it. So I try to make it so it's a 3 or 4 minute process for each image, and you'll see that in a minute. We're going to be stacking each quadrant of the sun together into one mosaic image. Might work, might not. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work all that great, so what? You can just invert the colors and throw it on Facebook, and everybody thinks you're a superstar. And if it does work pretty good, then everybody will still think you're a superstar. So that'll be happening here shortly. As you can see, we're on the last movie. It's calculating the sharpness of each of the 600 frames in the last movie for this particular run. And after this, we're going to do calcium K and also hydrogen alpha. So this will be a long video. Feel free to skip through to the more interesting stuff if you'd like. I know Rob Black just signed on from Australia, but when I'm doing these hangouts, I can't interact with the audience for some reason. I can broadcast it, and there's probably some way to add more speakers in here, but I don't know what it is. So that's why I'm taking messages via Facebook private message. That's the only way I know how to do it right now. Maybe I'll figure out how to add more people at some other point. If you're just doing a Google Hangout with somebody, then you can add whoever you want to the call, but it doesn't record it for YouTube. In order to have the Hangout recorded for future reference, you have to do a Hangouts on air, which doesn't seem to allow anyone else to join the call. That's why I was trying to get Rob Black to see if he could join the call. And again, we're currently watching paint dry in Atlanta. And okay, last movie is asking me how many frames do I want out of the 600 that it likes. Let's choose 30. And here's a high contrast feature. You can set Astro IDC to do this automatically for you, or any other stacking software. They all work the same. I like to do it manually. So I chose those. Now it's going to stack my final frames. In a second, we'll pull these frames up and create a mosaic in Photoshop. And I can show you where the pictures are going. This folder here, oops. Yeah, this folder here is where they're going. I'm going to copy that over here real quick. And as you can see, for each one of these videos, it's creating a separate image for each alignment point. There's video that was taken at 1, 2, 4, 5 and 36 seconds, and it has several different alignment points that it made an image for. And I'm going to go in and choose the best one to use for my mosaic. Rob says he can't get on here and give his charming Australian wit. So, yeah, so he's going to go. He's got other things to do. He's got shoes to take off, crappy coffee to drink, and breaded steaks to eat. So he's gone. We're getting there. And if you're wondering, I'm sitting in Atlanta, Georgia, in front of a Mac Pro desktop and two Mac Pro or MacBook laptops running this program. It's very easy to do. Okay, so it looks like we've gotten all of our movies stacked and the resulting images. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at a preview of each image and say, yeah, that one looks pretty good. That's the one alignment point. Then I go down to the last image, which is the blended image. And if it looks all right, I'll generally use the blended image. But if the blended image has any flaws in it, which you'll see later, I'll just pick one of the alignments. And I think I'm just going to pick one of the alignments because this area right here is much sharper in this image than it is in the blended image, as you can see. And that just comes from years of looking at this and seeing what the results are. So we're going to delete all the other tries. Then I go to the next movie. Oh, that one's, see how that one's kind of got a double shadow there and it's below the bottom. We can't use that. So let's go to this next one and see if it did any better. Yeah, that one did pretty good. So I'm going to delete that one. Now let's try the blended image. It's probably bad because it'll have part of that blended into it. Yep. So now you can see why I choose both single alignment images and blended images, because sometimes the blended looks good and sometimes it doesn't. All right, let's get rid of all those except the first one. And I'm choosing these based on their file name. This is the year, the date, 2015, February 7th, time, and local time. I use local time, 1252 Zulu in 3 seconds. Okay, so there's that video. Let's see what its blended image looks like. Yuck. Yeah, the blends are not doing well today for whatever reason. In fact, this one is pretty tough. Yeah, that one looks all right. We'll have to use that one, I think. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to delete all the other ones except for that one. And get rid of those. When we get down, we're going to have our favorite image of each movie stack left, and then we'll create a mosaic. Yeah, get rid of all those. The first one looked pretty good. All right, the first one looks good. Ooh, it's real close to the top there. I guess they all are. And there's the blend. That's not usable. All right, so now we have 6 images left, the best one of each movie according to my personal taste. So I'm going to take these 6 images. Now what we're going to do is process these 6 images and combine them together to get one usable mosaic. Okay, and here we go. Drag and drop them into Photoshop. Rob Black tells me to go bugger off, whatever that means. All right, so here's one of our images. Here's the other. So we've got the top left, top right, another top left, bottom right, and another bottom right. So we'll choose whichever one we like the best. I like that one better. So I'm going to close that image. Let's see. This one or this one. I'm going to choose that one. We'll close that image. So now we have an image left for each quadrant of the sun. And hopefully we're going to do some light processing on each one of these. And you have to do exactly the same processing on all of them, or else it doesn't look all that great. So, or you could just combine them first if you want to. I mean, if you want to do that, let's combine them first. So we choose, I like to choose the top left. There's our top left image. Now, if I'm going to combine this, then the resulting canvas is going to be 4 times the size. So change our canvas size to 200% width and 200% height, and keep it anchored in the top left so that this will be the top left portion of our new canvas. And there you go. Zoom to fit on the screen. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here and pick, this is the upper right. I'll come in here and I select not to the edge, but close to the edge. That's why you leave a lot of slop in your field of view, so you can have a lot of extra room. So we're going to select this and go put it on top of the other one. But it's very important that when you select this, you go to the selection menu, choose Modify Feather. Feather is your friend in Photoshop. If you don't feather now, you're missing out 90% of the program. Let's make our feather radius 30 pixels. And what feather is going to do is it's going to slowly transition between this image and that image, so there's no seams. And we have a radius of 30 pixels. Let's try 50 pixels. This is a really big image, so let's try a 50 pixel radius. So we feathered our selection. Then we copy it, go to where you want to put it, and choose Paste. You can see it creates a new layer over here. And you see how it's all feathered into the next image. That makes a seamless join. Okay, we can drag this anywhere we want, but the point is to drag it on top of the image you have now and line it up so that it looks good. And of course, It's a little bit tough to do. It should snap in place supposedly, but most of the time it doesn't. You know, something along those lines. All right, and if you want to zoom in and look closer at it to get a better idea, you can. Oops. Okay. Now, there's that. You see how this curve up here has to match up, and when that's matched up, then it's probably pretty close to being properly stacked or combined. So let's move this one right about there. I'm nudging it over with the arrow keys, by the way. It just, when it gets in the right spot, you can feel it. It's obvious when it gets in the right spot. Okay, so let's view fit on screen again and see what that looks like. Yeah, nice and even. There we go. And don't worry about this because we're going to put 2 more images on top of it in a minute. So we hit the enter key, place that one. Then we go over to this other image, which is the bottom left. Get our marquee out here. Far out here as you can get it, but leave some slop over here for the transition. See, like so. So select that area, go to the select menu, choose feather. We'll use 50 pixels again, and then copy. Go back to your other image, paste, and then select it and drag this one over to the right spot. There's a nice little feature there you can use to get close. Something like that. That's pretty good. I'd say that looks pretty darn good. Feather Shop will snap into place if it finds some stuff to grab onto. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So it's looking pretty good already. Look at that. We've got 3 of the images blended already. Then let's go to the last one. Again, get your selection tool, leave some slop for the blend on the part that's going to be blended, and then go all the way out to the edge on the other part. Select that area, feather, 50 pixels, edit, copy. Go back to this one and hope it fits. Paste. That one looks a little lighter. Hopefully it's not. Uh-oh. Let's put this one. Oh man, look at that. That is awesome. Oh, baby. See, I'm a superstar. And you can be too. There we go. A lovely, lovely thing. All right, so let's say enter. Does that look round? Yeah, it looks all right. Now, flatten the image. There you go. You got a full disk sun. Ultra high resolution full disk sun. Instead of using a Barlow or whatever, you know, you're using the native focal length of a fantastic scope. You don't want to use a focal reducer because it looks terrible. Okay, so let's select that and crop our image down to that size. And then get busy on processing. Now this is unsharpened, unprocessed so far. The only thing we've done is taken the images from the stacking software and make a mosaic out of them. Oh, look at that. It's a little bit off there. Oh well, I'll cheat on that one. So let's go to my favorite way to process solar images. I start with Smart Sharpen. It'll give you an idea what it looks like, and pretty much you're done with this image. As soon as you do this, we'll go to Smart Sharpen. Always a good idea to back off on the sharpening. When you think it looks good, back off a little bit because it's usually over sharpened. Let's do that. Smart Sharpen the image. Oh man, that's beautiful. Really, I mean, you're done with this image, in my opinion. However, we'll do it some more. You can come in here and go to levels. And if you move the middle slider, which changes the midtones, you can get a lot more granularity or whatever you want to look at. Or you can go the other way with it and wash it all out like so. Okay, let's go right about, make a nice dramatic sun. Okay, and if you change the left one, it really darkens the limb a lot, so I just leave it alone. A lot of guys try to use shadow highlights and all that. I don't ever use shadow highlights because, in my opinion, makes the limb look artificially bright. I mean, the reason the limb is darker is because it's not pointing at you. The center part is the part that's pointing at us, at the Earth. That's why we get the most brightness from here. It should darken off as you get to the edges because it's a sphere. Remember, it's not a flat two-dimensional object. It's a sphere. So it's brighter in the center, just like any other sphere. All right, so I did a little level adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a JPEG for Facebook because this is pretty awesome already. But I know everybody wants to go a little further, so the only thing left to do here is I mean, some people will go in here and do a unsharp mask, but in my opinion, that would just be a waste of time with this image, but we'll do it anyway. Unsharp mask, here's the difference. None. We'll do an unsharp mask and see what the deal is. Okay, everybody feel better? All right, now, image, curves, what we're gonna do is color it now. I like to use curves to color. I've got some, oh, look at that. It won't give us any colors because it's still a monochrome image. We've got to go in here, I forgot, and go to image mode, RGB color, or else it won't let you color. So we'll go back to image, adjustments, and curves. I've got a pre-stored white light sepia, I call it. And there you go, absolutely beautiful. The way I got to that point, now I'll show you how to do this yourself, and when you like what you got, just save it as a preset so you don't have to recreate it every time. Let's go back to image, adjustments, curves. Blue, I pretty much get rid of blue in every solar image I use. White light, you shouldn't really have to, but you know, that looks pretty good right there. Green, take the green down some. Look at that, man, that is awesome. There, you're done. White light sepia. Okay, so if you like that, you're done. So we're done with this image. I'm going to save as JPEG and call it color this time. Color. Okay, and I like to set it at maximum file size because I've got plenty of hard drive space. And everything you upload to Facebook, they're going to reduce it down in quality so much so that it's going to lose a lot. So I like to start with a really big image. Hey, wife, that's the wife walking by. Okay, so we're done processing. These 4 images we took and combined together, made a mosaic, and now we got a fantastic high-res white light mosaic. And if you don't think it's high-res, zoom in some on it. You'll see you can't zoom in enough. It just gets better. So let's close all these. Now, the next part of this is going to be doing the same exact thing with calcium images. First off, I'm going to delete all the TIFFs that I use for this so I don't get them confused with the next gigantic batch of TIFFs I'm going to create. Then I'm going to go to my external hard drive where I recorded all the videos. And I know that these videos were used for white light. So I'm going to move those into a new folder. Normally I just delete them, but I'm going to move them to a new folder for now. No, I'm not. Screw that. I'm just going to delete them. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adios. Okay. I'll go ahead and get rid of them out of the trash while I'm at it. Okay, now this is my first calcium disc pane. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. How many did I do? There's another one. Oh, and there's the prominences in calcium K. Yeah, with calcium, we're going to add in the prominences, so it's going to be a lot more stacking. I wish there was a pause feature, but there isn't. So here we go. That's the ones you want to do up to 1322 in 6 seconds. So go back to Astro IDC, say stack and align the following movies. Select the movies up to what? 12206, which is right there. There's two of them with the same name. Okay. Choose. Just leave all the settings exactly like they were. And hit OK. Now it's doing the same thing with these. It's going to combine them all together and ask me the same questions. So I'm going to mute this until I get done, and until it gets done stacking. So you might want to scroll ahead a little bit, or you can just watch what I do. I'm not going to tell you everything I'm doing. It's going to ask me how many frames I want, and then it's going to tell me what points do I want to line on. And you can watch me choose those if you want. I may break back in and talk, but I don't know. And again, sorry it's such a long wait between this, but this is just the way it is. Okay, so we're on the last calcium video, and I don't remember if I got all 4 quadrants of the prominences or not. I hope I did because they looked fabulous. But in a moment, we'll go through and pick out the best frames of each video and then make a mosaic. And again, this is Stephen Ramsden, the director of the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project, broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia on February 7th, 2015. So if you're listening some other time, obviously it's not live. Almost done. And here we go. So I just processed 9 videos in Astro IDC, just stacked them. And now we're gonna open up the folder where they went to and pick out the best of the multiple images created in the stacking for each video. Okay. Now, there's that one. There's the mosaic. Mosaics seem to do a little better in calcium than they do in white light. I mean, when I say mosaic, I mean the blended image, multi-alignment point blended image that Astro IDC creates. Seems to work out better usually in calcium or H-alpha in narrowband than it does in full spectrum. But we're going to go in and see whether the blended image is better or not, and then pick the best image out of all of them for each of the 9 videos. There we go. And that is why you do multiple alignment points, because if you only do one and you get that, you got to go through the whole thing again. So let's pick the best ones. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yep. Here we go. Okay. Man, that's beautiful. That's going to make a fantastic calcium full disc with prominences here in just a moment. That's my forecast. Okay. There's one. All right. So it looks like we're keeping the first alignment point usually rather than the blended image. And again, that's just the way it is. What's that? Oh, yeah, I had 2 frames with the same. That's weird. Okay, so there's the first one. And there's the blend. Those 2 movies both had the same exact title somehow. Let's see. Okay. All right, so now we've got our best frames for the prominences here and our best frames for the surface here. Let's do the prominences first. We'll open up all 4 prominence images. Now, with calcium prominences or any other prominences, I like to start out by changing it to a RGB color image because it's recorded in monochrome. And we'll start out by using Smart Sharpen. And I use a Smart Sharpen of about 3.0. I'll go back and do that again. Let me revert, which is a handy feature. If you get really deep in processing and you just screwed it all up and you haven't saved it yet, you can go back and hit revert, and it'll revert back to its original state when you opened it. So let's go to Smart Sharpen and choose this area here. That's 3.2 pixels. It looks pretty good. So we'll do that. And since we reverted, we have to change it back to RGB color again. Okay. Now, you know what? I'm going to combine them before I process them. That's probably the best way to do it. All right, so to combine these four together, we need something that's twice as tall and twice as wide because there'll be four images. So we go to canvas size and increase it by 200% each way. And anchor it to the top left since this image is the top left. Do that. Fit to screen. Okay, so there's our first one. Then we go to the second image. And again, just like I did in the white light earlier in the video, I'm going to select that and that. Leave some wiggle room for the blend, even though you're not going to be blending much here because it's all white, but this is blend here. So modify our selection by feathering it 50 pixels so it'll blend easy. Choose copy, go back here, choose paste. Okay, see how it's nice and blended, hopefully. Then come over here and stick it together in here somehow. I think it's like that basically. Or okay, roughly. Let me go get our next one. Select it. Feather 50 pixels. Copy. Paste. And see what that does. That goes right about there. Okay. Now hopefully I have an image in here that has the top right. Ah, I do. There we go. So come over here and let's see. Let's just select all that. Just select feather 50 pixels. Copy. Go back over here and choose paste. And come in like so. And hope it works. It's looking a little oblong there, isn't it? All right, so it's probably about like that, I would imagine. Now let's go pick this one. It's kind of looking a little funky. Let's do that. It's a little off rotation there. Let's delete that one altogether. And just look at these. Yeah, that one needs to be a little higher. It probably needs like so. Let's use this one. Let's just take this one out of here. That should be, what about here? Yeah, that's better. That's easy to lose track of what you're doing. Okay, now let's go find the one that has the bottom right. That's this one. Edit, copy, come back in here, paste. I want this one to be underneath everything else. Yeah, that way I don't have to worry about the oblong nature of it as much. And well, we'll go with that. Although it does look off around to me. That's what we're going to use. Now, maybe that's what we're going to use. Yeah, let's move this one back. Like so. Then this one. I don't know. All right, we'll go with that. See, this isn't blended properly. Let's go back over here, delete that one. Put this one. That one's correct. I think the problem here is that we're not. That looks correct. All right, let's go back and get the. Hover right, and let's just copy a smaller area, feather it like this. All right, select, modify, feather. We'll do 30 pixels this time. Copy. Paste. Yeah, man, that. I didn't copy a big enough slice of that one, so let's go copy some more of it. Select, modify, feather, edit, copy, edit, paste. All right. Much better. Let's do that. Boom. Flatten the image. Okay. Then come in and crop it. Oops. Don't drop your mouse while you're cropping. Crop it to there. Image, crop. Okay. Now we'll start to process it. I like to go to RGB color, filter, smart sharpen. We'll zoom in on that part there and sharpen it until we get some action. It's a little too much. Come down here. That looks pretty good. Then let's do some iterative unsharp, which means very small adjustments in the unsharp mask, one after the other, instead of one big one. So let's come up here, do that, and then repeat it a couple times. Unsharp mask, unsharp mask. Okay, that's good. And then let's adjust the levels a tad. Take out some of the glare from the background. Bring that in. Do that. Okay, so there, we're good with that one. Now let's close the rest of these out. Move 3. And leave that one where it is. All right, so we can go back and save, and that's TIFF number 001. So let's delete all of them except, oops, they're all 001. 131652, got to leave that one. Let's delete these 3 so we don't get them mixed up with the next batch. Okay, now this is a quadrant, quadrant, quadrant. Let's see which one of these we like better. left. Okay. That's upper left. And that's upper left. I like the other one better, so we'll get rid of this one. Okay, that's bottom left, sort of. Bottom left. Get rid of this one. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we're down to, I think, R4, aren't we? Bottom left. What's this one? That's upper left. I liked it, yeah. So we'll get rid of this upper left later. All right, now we'll take these 4 images. These are our 4 quadrant images for our mosaic. Open them in Photoshop. Combine them all together. We'll start with the upper left one. Oops. Don't do that. All right. Now, just like we did before, we got to increase our canvas size 200% each direction. And use the anchor on the top left so that we get a nice new image that's 4 times the area. That's big enough to paste all the mosaics, all the frames into. Now, I'm going to select as much as I can of the black and leave some wiggle room there for the blending. All right, so we selected that area. Now let's feather it 50 pixels. Okay. Copy. Paste. And then move them together. I'm going to select that sunspot and move it right about to that sunspot. And let's see what we got. Yeah. Did I what? Okay. So there's our feather. It looks like, is it? Looks like maybe our levels are a little off between the two, but that's all right. We can go and adjust the brightness some and see if that makes up for it. If it's not a uniform difference, yeah, see that how it blended in nicely there. If it's not a uniform difference, you get some problems, but just by brightening up this panel, it made it all blend a lot better. Okay, so let's go select this one. Leave some wiggle room. Modify, feather, 50 pixels, edit, copy, paste. Okay. So I'm going to adjust the transparency a little bit so I can see up underneath it. This lets you have a better idea when you're moving the frames together of how close you are, like so. And then when you get done moving them, you just set it back to 100%. Okay, yeah, this one's got a little blending issue too, so I'm going to increase its brightness and hope that that fixes this one. A little uneven there. All right. Now let's go find the bottom left quadrant. Come up here, do this, feather it 50 pixels, copy, paste. Let's see if that's gonna work. All right, put that one right about there. Having the same problem we had before. So let's just copy a smaller area. How much do we need? That much. Let's go and copy that. Feather, edit, copy, edit, paste. I'm gonna put that one underneath this one. And then you're done. Now let's turn up that brightness just a little bit. And that's good. Okay, now which one of these is causing all that? That one, huh? Nope. Nope. All right, we're gonna go with that. Layer, flatten. I know I got a little gradient in there, but that's for a more advanced exercise. All right, we'll do this. Crop the image down to that size. Then change it over to RGB. Smart sharpen. Mosaics are a little harder than not mosaics. Yeah, that's good. Okay, then don't worry, I got tricks for all this. Image adjust levels. Like so. I might do a little iterative. No, I'll wait till I get done. All right. So now we got this image. Oops. And this image we want to combine together. So come in here and use the magic wand tool. You may have to change the tolerance a little higher to get it. The tolerance allows it to select more closer shades. A real low tolerance, it'll only select absolutely one shade. If you increase the tolerance, it'll select one shade plus the shades close to it. So let's contract this to, oops, wait a minute, let's invert it first. Select the inverse, so now you've selected this. Now you get a real harsh edge if you just select this and paste it on top of the proms. So I learned to contract a couple pixels and then to feather it a couple of pixels and then copy it. That seems to work good with a contraction of 2 pixels and a feather of 2 pixels on a full disk image, and then choose paste. And you can see it's looking pretty good, although our oblong calcium prom image is showing up. That's all right though. We call it art. Okay, we'll just expand this down a little bit to cover that up. Expand this a little bit to cover that up. There you go. And place it there. And when you got one that doesn't turn out exactly like you want, the thing you can do is invert it. Boom, you got a beautiful image. Okay, so let's flatten that down. And there you go. Adjustments, levels. You can brighten it up some, you can darken it, whatever you want to do. Now let's do some unsharp mask. Very low amount of unsharp mask. One radius, maybe 40%, and do it 2 or 3 times. That's called iterative unsharp. Then we come in here with some curves. Let's turn it to purple if you're a purist, gold if you, or any color really, doesn't matter what color. Let's just choose gold. And we're done. So save that as a JPEG. Over here, close Photoshop. Now let's go in here and get rid of all these TIFF images, because now this next part's going to be fairly quick, so you don't have to wait a long time. My hydrogen alpha scope allows me to take a full disk all at once. I don't have to do any mosaics. So we're going to stack those movies. Let's find out where they start. So we're going to do 720 and beyond. Stack line movies. All right, I'll tell you what, listeners, that was white light and calcium K. And I'm going to save that to YouTube because this is getting pretty long. And I'll do the hydrogen alpha in the next video. And these will all be on my page at on YouTube and also posted on Facebook and so forth. So I hope you enjoyed the calcium K and white light stacking. Next up will be hydrogen alpha in a separate video. Thank you.